Hi, my name is Azure. Welcome to the channel. This month's videos are all centered around fear, judgment, and distraction. And that is because in our monthly collective check-in, those are the themes that came up. And also in the channeled morning meditation that I do for people who subscribe on my website, those were the themes in that as well. And sometimes the themes are the same and sometimes they're just kind of a little bit loosely correlated, but this month it felt very strong that these are the things that we want to look at for the month. And so this video is about watching where you are in judgment and then not judging yourself for being in judgment. And so that is the hard part, right? Is that sometimes we can't even see where we're in judgment, and sometimes it's just comes so naturally to us that we are blissfully unaware that it's even happening. And then sometimes we see it happening and we would rather it not happen, and then we judge ourselves for it happening. And so it's not only about releasing judgment and stepping into compassion for yourself and for others, but it's also about giving yourself some grace around it as well. And what the guide said is that judgment is the perpetuation of the separation from perfection. And I was like, what does that even mean? But that's what came through. And basically, what they said is that we often, as humans, and especially in this time of humanity, have been taught that we are the only way that we can be, let's say, loved by God, loved by each other, loved by ourselves, is if we are perfect. And so judgment happens when we find imperfections, when we see ourselves as not being perfect. And so what happens is that judgment perpetuates the separation, right? It perpetuates the need for perfection in order to be loved. And so the way that we kind of come off of that is that we see ourselves and we see each other as just souls who, and you can use whatever word you want. You don't have to use the word soul. You can use any word that you want that means individual droplets of the ocean, whatever you want. But we see ourselves as each having a unique experience that has led us to this point in time. So when we begin to see, and so this is what happens to me, frankly, in the Akashic Records, and why I have, I believe, made so much progress in the realm of judgment. Because honestly, I was, I used to be extremely judgy, and I used to be able to look at someone and see all the ways they could be better and all the ways they weren't being good enough and all the ways they weren't meeting my expectations and all the ways, judge myself in the same way, right? And what is beautiful about the records is that when you meet someone and you go into their records, you see laid out in front of you all of the things that they have been through in this lifetime and other lifetimes, all the things that are coming through ancestrally, all the things that have made them who they are today. And when you see that, and when you see what someone has been through, the judgment just disappears and the compassion comes flooding in. And so what having that experience has helped me to do, and hopefully even just by me sharing this story may help you do, is to realize that people are where they are right now because of a plethora of other experiences that have happened to them. And when we can see them as the soul who has had all of these experiences that have led to them to where they are right now, we can see them with compassion. We can see ourselves with compassion. We can know that there's a reason. Of course, we're like this. Look at all of these things we've been through, right? We can give ourselves grace and compassion around all of it and not judge it. That is when we can really step into our potential as humans and our potential as brothers and sisters. And I know, I know it can sound a little hokey or cliche to say that, but we truly are all connected. And the way we are able to give love and compassion to others is to first give it to ourselves. And so we're really being called this month and going forward to begin to look at the places where we judge ourselves and others, have compassion for ourselves and others because of all the things we've been through. And then know that we don't have to be perfect to be loved. In fact, it is beautiful that we are imperfect. It's beautiful that we are unique. It's beautiful that we're completely different from the person sitting right next to us. Because that is what shows us the multifacets of the expression of the divine, right? Is that how many infinite variations and possibilities are there of this infinite potential? And it's mind-boggling, right? That we can all be so different and we are all of the same, we're all the same. And we're all so different. And it's beautiful and it's mind-boggling. And the way that we can fully align with ourselves and fully come to love and accept ourselves is to understand that we don't have to be perfect, or whatever our definition has been taught to us that perfect is, in order to be loved or to love ourselves. And as we begin to chip away at that judgment piece and really begin to have compassion for the journey that every person has been on, including yourself, it becomes easier and easier to step away from the judgment of it, because we're really just doing our best here. I don't know of anybody who isn't doing their best in the moment, even if their best isn't the best, right? Nobody starts the day and is like, I'm going to be terrible today. Like, who does that, right? We're all just trying our hardest. And even if in the moment our hardest is just like, it's like 5% of what we could do tomorrow or yesterday or whatever it is, right? In the moment, we're trying our best. And so just beginning to, first give people grace and first give people the benefit of the doubt, and give yourself grace and give yourself the benefit of the doubt, it goes a long way. And so they really wanted us to kind of begin this shift. It feels like now, and this is a continuation of something that was in the July check-in, but also in the August check-in. So if you haven't checked that out, you can find it on the channel. But is that this is kind of go time, and this is the time to begin to choose which way we're going to go. Are we going to become aligned with ourselves, and are we going to become aligned with our potential and love and compassion and presence? Or are we going to just continue on a journey that is completely unaware of all of that, right? And there's no judgment in either path, but this is the time that if you're being called to something else, they're trying to give you ways to inch into that life, that timeline, that alignment. And so let me just make sure there's nothing else they want to say about this in the moment, and I'll be right back. So one of the things that they often say, or the examples they often give, is, if you had a best friend or a child and they were doing something, you'd be so much more you'd be so much softer to them and so much nicer to them when you're delivering a message, or when if you have a best friend and they're going through something, you're like, oh my gosh, of course you're feeling that way. This is why. Look at all these things that have happened. Of course you're going to feel that way. There's nothing to be, you shouldn't be hard on yourself because you're feeling that way, and you're really talking to them nicely, and you're holding space for them, and you're compassionate, and you're right. And it's like, what we are called to do is to be that way to ourselves, and to really start to examine the way we speak to ourselves and how we are hard on ourselves, and start to give us the same love and the same grace that we would give others, right? And so that was all they wanted to add to what we talked about, is just begin to speak to yourself as you would speak to those who you love the very, very most, right? And when you start to do that, it starts to unravel the pattern of self-judgment. And as you unravel that pattern for yourself, you unravel it for other people, and you also are able to really step into the expansion that you're being called to step into. So I hope that helps. Okay, that feels like it is complete for today, and I hope you have an amazing day. Take care.